What's up, family? Get this video a big thumbs up. So I was sitting here having a conversation, right? And I feel like I just have a conversation with you guys, right? Because I just came up with an awesome idea, which I thought would be a productive, effective conversation in regards of just having a conversation with you guys and kicking it. And let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, right? So I'm sitting here, right? And I was having a conversation when it came to a person that I know, basically talking in regards of her father being heartbroken in a way. And I just came to the conclusion that this is how you know that men take heartbreak the hardest. And how you know that is because a lot of times, even from my personal experience, which I'll get to in a minute, men tend to do things that they never did to fill the void of the heartbreak, right? Because the best way to get over something, the best way to transform your life, the best way to be successful is knowing your why, and it's bigger than you. But it's hard when actually you had a lover, you had a wife as a man, or for the ladies, if you had a husband, you have unfortunately lost due to death, or y'all just divorced and things didn't work out due to irreconcilable differences, which I feel like I don't really support that. I feel like those who really commit and those who really love someone, they will endure to the end, having each other's best interest, but realizing obviously if you married them in the first place, y'all can't live life without each other. But anything, y'all make each other's lives better and greater, and y'all pour so much value into each other's life that it makes no sense to separate, and y'all with each other until death do part, which I believe that the oath is very important in regards when you take the oath of commitment, taking care of your husband or wife until death do part, right? But nowadays, that whole mind shift of actually taking the oath when it comes to marriage obviously has gone out the window and hasn't been very highly prioritized because everybody is gravitating to instant gratification in regards of wanting things when they want it and not going through anything and think they can have something right then and there and don't think they're not going to go through things in life. And also, individuals just don't know how to endure or be consistent for a long period of time because they want what they want. And then it leads to the selfish aspect, right? Where individuals basically feel like, you know what? I don't think I want to be with someone because then I got to give up what I got and I don't want to give up nothing I have. But that's a whole different conversation, like I said. But I just wanted to add the context to where I'm getting to lead up to where I'm getting to get you guys' thoughts down in the comments. And it came to men, like I said, taking breakup the hardest. So they fill the void up from losing their husband, or a woman. You know how like a woman loses her husband, or they break divorce or whatever, right? Or they break up from a relationship. But this is how you know guys take it the hardest, because they feel the void of the very thing which was their why. Like I mentioned, which is the very thing that you need to have the mindset in, knowing your why to transform your life, to get over things, heartbreaks, for example, or breakups or divorces, whatever the case may be, and just being transformative in your life to ultimately be successful in those heartbreaks or other times of sorrow or grief or whatever the case may be. But men tend to fill the void because their why was their family. Their why was their kids. Their why was their wife. Or their why was their girlfriend if they had no kids. And me, from personal experience, you know, unfortunately, I'm a single father for a reason, because ultimately it didn't work out, you know, with my child's mother. And that's why I'm a single father, right? So, my why was the concept of keeping the family together. And when I was still finding myself, I was 20 years old. She was a year younger than me when we had our son. And, well, I was turning 20 years old because our son was born in 2019. And unfortunately, things didn't work out. And I started to panic in regards of feeling like everything was crumbling. My why was my son and her, our family dynamic, and believing that we can get through it. And we were struggling at the time bad. I was still finding myself. I was working my job and doing gig work, DoorDash, Grubhub, you name it. COVID came around, and she was basically stressing or expressing her frustrations of you tired of struggling, and I'm like, look, we just got to work harder. We can endure it to the end. And she was like, you know what, look, I'm not down for this, and I would just like, just wait, we'll get up. Two is greater than one in our family. We can, it'll be more special because we getting out the mud, and then we can express to our son, which then will set the tone and the precedent for how relationships should operate by getting through things, and nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens overnight, and life has its highs and lows. You take the good with the bad, and ultimately things will be better if you stick to it, if you get through it, right? And unfortunately, things ended, and I was lost because, I was pouring into her. She needed help finding herself. And, as a man, you leading, and you don't never want to fall short, right? A lot of men fear this. I fear this. Falling short, because you love your family, you love the woman that you love your children, and you always want to be there for them and make sure you're providing solutions that yields results for the best interest of the family. And that's a real man. That's a leader. That's the characteristics of a good man, who always have the best interest of those and put himself last. Men will put their health last and break their back every day and kill themselves as long as they make sure their family is straight. And that was my mindset, and always has been and always will be. And ultimately, I was pouring into her. I was like, you go to school first and I'll go to school. I didn't know what I wanted to go to school for, but I wanted to make sure it was a productive career. So ultimately, long term, with the times evolving, with AI and artificial intelligence and ChatGPT and all that stuff, I wanted to find a job that, that wouldn't be taken over by AI, right? And I didn't know what career I wanted to do. I was taking career assessments. I was figuring it out, right? And she had an idea, and I'm like, well, you go first, because we both, we got our son, and we both can't go to school at the same time because we still got to give our son attention, and someone has to be the relief while the other person focus on the books, right, and getting their education to ultimately benefit us as a family. And she had the concept. She went to school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but then she decided, after she had went to school for, a trade, she dipped out. She left, and I was lost. I had put myself on the back burner because I was like, you go first, and then I'll go first. And I put in effort to help her find herself with the career assessments or idea. Even though she had an idea of that trade, I was like, yeah, I think it'd be a good trade. But you ever thought of this? And I'm just giving alternatives and options. But she got to want to do it, right? I'm not forcing her to do nothing she don't want to do. I'm just worrying about her being passionate and enjoying it, but also making sure it's conducive for, even if we wasn't together, it benefited her. Because for the sake of our son, and she's my son's mother, and who don't want the parent of their other child, whether it's the father or mother, to be straight, because ultimately it affects the child. The decisions we make as parents and how we are financially and whatever's going on, situationally, it impacts the child. And she left, and I didn't know what I wanted to do myself, because I told you I was still finding my career and finding what I wanted to do. But my why was always, I'm just grinding to it. I'm getting to it. Doing the YouTube, finding out my career, still working my job and working gig work. And I was lost. And I felt the void. I feel the void of feeling so, I attempted to do something that I never done before. And this is how men take the heartbreak the hardest, because they try to fill a void and they'll do something they never done before. So from my personal experience, me being so codependent on the concept of two is greater than one, our family will get through it. We'll endure it to the end. Because when I commit hard. And that's the majority of men I'm speaking to. I'm speaking to the majority, not the minority. So the point is, I was so codependent on, because who want to do life by themselves, right? I didn't want to do life by myself. And also, this was my person, I felt, because I had a child with them. So I downloaded Tinder, a dating app, and this is how I know. As fast as I downloaded it, I deleted it. And she came across there, one of her family members was on Tinder and came across my name due to me having their number at a time where I reached out to them in regards to make sure they were safe, or they were spending time with our son while we were spending time together, and they was willing to watch our son when we was together. And so they had my name as a contact. And you know how you can have someone name as a contact. If you have Facebook or something, for example, they could suggest, oh, you may be familiar with this person. You may know this person. Add him as a friend. So that happened with the Tinder situation. And it was like, oh, you had a Tinder. You didn't tell me. And I'm like, I made that right then and there. But we already had broken up. Like, she already had left me. She wanted to leave and she couldn't do it no more. So the very thing is, I've realized, you were so codependent on not doing life without someone. And also this person that you really dedicated and pour yourself into, which is nothing wrong with it because that's love and having the best interest and wanting what's best for them. But you lost yourself in the end also. So you lost yourself. You didn't know what you wanted to do. I didn't know what career I wanted to do. And I'm filling this void by trying to go entertain myself talking to someone else, thinking that's going to be any better. But in reality is I needed to get my shit together. I needed to figure out what I wanted to do with myself. I needed to figure out what career path I may want to go. So I had to sit with myself and I had to realize this ain't right. So a man will start doing things like going out, drinking, and they never drunk before, and start venting to people they don't know. And they're trying to fill a void because they couldn't imagine life without it. In my case, I couldn't imagine life without being with my child's mother at the time. And I was scrambling and scraping on how to find the ideal of life because that was my why. But I never really continued to just still learn myself and discover myself. I put myself on the back burner, which most men do. So I became so codependent on her and this thing that we had going on, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I still didn't work on my individual journey, right? And my individual journey is my own path that I have for me in regards of where I should be going in life. What's my purpose? What God has for me. And look, even if you're in a relationship, you have your journey together and then y'all have your individual journeys. And your individual journeys is the career that may be set out for her and the career that may be set out for you. And y'all ultimately just pour value into each other. Y'all add to each other's life, not subtract. If they start subtracting, you got to get rid of them. That's a problem, right? But if they're pouring value into you, like encouraging you to go and do something uncomfortable to help you get that job promotion, or learning a different skill that will add to the portfolio of your career to advance and continue to evolve and up your skills to be effective and valuable to the workplace that you're in, right? Teaching you different things that they may come across. So the continuous, consistent effort. So then it pours into each other's lives, which then y'all can add to your individual journeys, which something y'all may learn in teaching each other in a relationship. Y'all could branch out and take it to your own individual paths, like your career, things that y'all like to do, things that help you to release, right? Because you still have to do the inner work for yourself, right? Because how you love yourself is how you love others. So if you're frustrated, some people as an outlet, and men for the most of the time like to work out, right? Because a lot of men suffer in silence and nobody want to hear them and no one will save them and no one they can call on to vent to or want to hear actually their situation in the majority. So the heartbreak and stuff, they got to go through it, and suffering, they got to go through it, and nobody's going to sit there and be empathetic to their situation for most majority of the time. So, it was just interesting. I want to have a conversation with you guys on that because men suffer the most. I done a thing that I never thought I would do. Downloading a dating app. Like, what? Tinder at that. That I automatically corrected myself and say, now you damn wrong. Now you ain't doing it. You just look desperate, bro. And I was desperate out here in these streets. I ain't gonna lie, I was desperate. And look, I was just like, look, I can't do life by myself, but I gotta fix myself so then I can add value to the person that I'm with. right? Because if I'm not pouring into myself, then I'm doing those I love a disservice. But if you're working together with someone and y'all understand that y'all working and y'all actually being consistent and y'all getting to it, if they walk out on you, they just wasn't for you. But you still gotta be the prize, fellas. You are the prize. And in reality is you gotta continue to work on yourself still, in a relationship or not. And that's what I had to learn. Because in reality is, even if the person that walked out of you, they should still want you to work on yourself and remind you and get to it, even if it's so small. So maybe she had to go to school first, right? And then I'll go. But the reality is, I still should have been looking and finding what career path I wanted to do. But I was so busy, paying bills, taking care of the family, working, yeah, and raising our son and teaching them things while she was doing the school. I meant to say while she was going to school, but I basically got lazy with myself. And you don't do that. You never lose yourself in the process of things. You always seek to work on yourself because you would rather want a person than need them. Now, and I felt like I needed her because financially I couldn't hold down. I held down the bills and pay all the bills at one point. She took a year or two off. Not working, not having no job at all, and I wanted her to really take the full experience and experiencing both of our firstborn and her being there as a mother. And I was trying to 20 years old, going on 20 years old, and 20 years old at the time, eventually becoming in 2019. I felt less of a man if I didn't give her that experience, and I didn't want to lack anything. And the thing is, majority of the time in your 20s, you're still finding yourself. But you don't waste time doing it. Every single day, you work at little by little, finding out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how it's beneficial, and what makes sense. And I poured myself into her, and I forgot about myself in the process, which hurt me. So I started doing things desperately when I wasn't even focused on still doing things that actually is worth doing, so I wouldn't have to worry about filling a void because I was continuously being productive from the point of still working on myself. So even though I was working, take care of the bills and stuff, I was still working on myself, right? I should have still been working on myself, right? And even if I took one class here and there instead of no classes, right? So, yeah, man, those are things, and that's how you know that men basically hurt the most, because their why can be the people that they lost or walked out on them, and then they don't know what to do, and they're up in a frenzy, and they're just desperate and dying inside and want someone to talk to and vent and don't know how to go about it. And eventually we get over it by being productive and, like I said, knowing the why and revamping that why to realize, oh, I could still work on myself. And the why is wanting to be a better person, but also it could be bigger than me as well, which is my kids, for my kids' kids. So I'm going to leave it there, family. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. On that note, family, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some value from it. Peace.